We got some starters playing tomorrow. Let's go. Get excited. Lime's not excited.
I am excited.
No, you're not.
I'm excited.
I can tell you ain't excited.
I'll tell you when I'm excited. When the third quarter begins.
Why?
Because it would appear that Shedeur Sanders will be
he said it, not
out
me.
on the field on the third quarter.
He said it, not me. All you guys talk about Shedeur. He's the guy that everybody gets excited about.
We can our station, can we ask Keith, can we send an alert, a 92.3 The Fan alert once Shedeur actually jumps out onto the field? A push notification? I'm going to ask him right now.
Nathan Zegura joining us on the Fan Hotline. Hello, Nathan. Good morning. Nathan, you there? I don't think we have Nathan.
It's like, I'm not doing this.
All right.
He's like, I talked to the commissioner. What do I need to talk to you guys for?
What if that's the case? Like, you know what the hell are these idiots, these clowns? Tired of this. Real football, Nathan Zegura. Hopefully we'll get him back here in a second. You really want to send a push-button notification to everybody when Shedeur hits the field?
Yeah. Owen?
Yay.
Will it help the broadcast?
You got to do it with Dylan Gabriel. You got to do it with Dylan Gabriel.
No. The push notification is Dylan Gabriel is exiting the game. Shedeur Sanders is coming into the game, and watch the numbers spike.
Don't do that. Don't do that. You know Nathan can't answer that.
He can't answer that.
Listen live. Shedeur Sanders has entered the game.
Yes.
You can come in from mowing the grass. No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to. No. Nathan, hello.
Good morning, Manfred.
Good morning, Nathan. All right. You know what? I always got to start it off. You talked to the commissioner yesterday.
Yeah, I want to know, Nathan, when he answered the question about the Super Bowl, were you buying it? Did you think, yes, this is a possibility?
I definitely think it's a possibility. I mean, as he said, the stadium is Super Bowl quality. I think that it's going to be about, hotel rooms and all the things around it.
Super Browns! Yeah! Zegura's getting us a Super Bowl.
I said I think it's possible, but I think there's a lot beyond just the stadium that has to go into it, which is why he referred to it as a Super Bowl quality stadium, which it will be.
Well, because he said 50,000 high-quality hotel rooms and all that stuff, and immediately I thought, well, Indy did it and Detroit did it. That's still kind of a while ago, so the things change. It's a bigger event than it used to be, and that's crazy because it's always been a pretty big event. So we'll see. You know what? I got to be honest with you. I'd be happy with the draft. WrestleMania, I think, is actually out of the question, but that's due to the whole Vegas thing and all that other stuff. But that's a conversation for a different day. I know you like your wrestling, but
Sure.
Tomorrow's game, Joe Flacco. How long do you expect him to play? How long do you expect these ones to play? And who of the ones do you think doesn't play at all, if there are any?
I definitely for example, I think that there are certain guys, like a Bitonio and a Myles Garrett, you definitely don't need to see out there. Denzel Ward, since he's dealing with an injury, I wouldn't expect to see anybody who's dealing with anything. So Denzel, maybe Greg Newsome, said Tillman's a little banged up, so I wouldn't expect to see those guys. But I think you'll see everybody else, and I think that, I think the goal will be to just get good work. So I think it's a possibility they could play up to 25 snaps, as we've heard Kevin Stefanski say last night on the Kevin Stefanski show. That's maybe the ceiling, but I think if they go out there and execute really well on the opening drive, maybe it's just the opening drive. I don't think that they're really going to force this. Now, the Rams aren't going to play anybody, so I'm hoping that we go out there and look very efficient and march right down the field, and then we can have good vibes going into the opener.
What do you think of the difference here, maybe the pivot from the coaching staff or maybe the organization on playing guys this time around? You've seen some other teams also kind of change the way that they deal with preseason in general, and especially the third game.
Well, the Browns have played their starters in the preseason. Typically, it's just kind of been earlier, but this year, because of the joint practice, they played some starters in the finale last year, but because the joint practices were week 1 and week 2, that's where your starters got all their work those weeks, and in fact got, between 60 and 80 snaps over the course of the 3 joint practices, which is, equivalent to a full game. So this week there wasn't a joint practice, so to keep them getting some good quality work, I think that's why you're seeing the stars. I think the preseason's fascinating in the sense that nobody in the NFL, there's no consensus on how to approach this at all. You got some teams that don't play anybody ever. You have some teams that play people early in the preseason, not late in the preseason. You have other teams that play people all 3 weeks. You have other teams like us. We didn't play the starters first week or second week, and we're going to play them in the third week for a little bit. So there's no consensus on it. And I think, as we all know, we're headed towards a world in which there's probably going to be 2 joint practices and 2 preseason games, and that's it. And we'll see what that ultimately comes out and looks like.
Nathan Zegura joining us on the show. Running back situation, it ain't going to be figured out by tomorrow afternoon. I know that. What do you think the Browns might have in mind here? I understand the Quinshon Judkins thing. That's a totally separate entity, but are we looking at waiver wires after tomorrow?
I think the Browns, you've got kind of what I would call your explosive backs locked up, right? With Jerome Ford, with Dylan Sampson, and even Pierre Strong. We saw the burst from him on that 54-yard run last week. But you really don't have that power back that Quinshon Judkins was drafted to be. You don't have the guy that even Deontay Foreman was brought in to be, although it didn't work out as well last year, or that Kareem Hunt had been for the Browns prior to that, along with Nick Chubb, obviously, who could do it all. So I think that's the market they could be looking in. I know they like Amani Marshall a lot. I think the question is, do we like Amani Marshall enough to go into week 1 with him being our bigger back? And so I think that if the Browns are in the market for a running back, it would be a bigger back. And my guess is it would skew more towards a veteran than a younger player. But I don't think they're looking to necessarily, certainly not break the bank. Obviously, you want to get Quinshon Judkins in here, and that is the role that he was drafted for very early in this draft.
Yeah, Nathan, so often we talk about the names of the running backs. What about the profile of a running back in a Kevin Stefanski offense that is operating at, top capacity? When you had Nick Chubb, he was like a cheat code because he did almost everything. He probably could have caught the ball out of the backfield more had they have asked him to. What do you think fits the description of what Kevin Stefanski is looking for this season?
You need running backs that have good vision and that understand, in the outside zone when to put that foot in the ground and get north-south. And that's one of the things I think Jerome Ford's really improved on early in his career. Did too much dancing, too many negative plays last year, averaged 5.2 yards a carry. He's got that home run ability. Obviously, if you're going to play in this offense, you have to be able to protect the quarterback. Deuce Staley will not put you out there if he doesn't believe that you can protect the quarterback. So that's key. But when it's more of a zone scheme, and yes, of course, we run some power, some pin pull, but when you're in that type of a scheme, it's the guys with the vision, the guys that understand their tracks and that understand when to get that foot in the ground, get north-south, or cut it back and find those lanes. So I think we've got guys that suit our scheme very well. The thing that we don't have right now is that bigger back. And I think that that's why, if you're seeing reports about the Browns looking for a back, I think it's going to fit that mold, which is the guy that's going to go ahead like Kareem Hunt did, right? Wasn't always pretty, but he got you 3 yards. You needed 1 yard, he got you 3 yards. You needed 3 yards, he got you 3 yards towards the end of his career here with the Browns. That's what I think they're going to be looking for if they do bring another running back in the mix, somebody in that bigger profile, because it's just a lot to ask of Amani Marshall to come in and be that guy early coming out of App State. And so I think that would be, if they are looking for another running back, if they're looking for that bigger guy to come in and kind of be that hammer.
Isaiah Bond, how much are we going to see of him?
I know he's going to play in this one. And listen, when you can run like he can run, I think that it would make a lot of sense. I mean, he's going to make the 53. You saw the contract that he got. He's a talented guy. Many people thought a second-round pick, or worse, third-round pick, so day 2 guy. By the way, makes this draft class look even better that he was just added to it when you kind of think of now everything that's been put together at a position that I like to get wide receivers. So ones that can run and ones that can make plays like this. We're seeing some jet sweeps in our offense this year. So I think Isaiah Bond, I don't know how much he'll play against the Rams, but I could certainly see a package of, 10 to 20 plays for him in week 1 where it's, all right, you're running vertically, and if they don't go with you, we'll throw it to you with Joe Flacco. If they do, it's going to open things up for guys on, the deep overs for Jerry Jr., David Njoku down the seam, and then maybe try to get the ball in his hands with some wide receiver screens or some jet sweeps just to give him an opportunity to make plays with his speed. But I think that he will be a part of our week 1 game plan.
Wow. Nathan Zegura, Browns Radio Network, joining us right now. So, I've been excited about Harold Fannon for quite some time. I am a veteran play-by-play announcer of Bowling Green. I had him one time, of Harold Fannon. And the one thing that was so interesting to me about Fannon, and it fits, what you heard about him maybe coming out of high school, is that he could do many different things. At Bowling Green, they lined him up at H-back, tight end, wide receiver, running back. They put him in all sorts of positions. Do you think that we could see that? You talked about a trick play that they utilized him in, in some of the action. What do you think we'll see out of Harold Fannon?
Yeah, I think he's the ultimate chess piece for this offense, and he's somebody that the Browns absolutely wanted to come out of this draft with, and he has been sensational. You talk to any of the coaches about him, and they immediately light up. So Harold Fannon, yes, I think in many ways you can look at Harold Fannon as partly our third receiver. You can look at him as our second tight end. Yes, you can get him in the backfield. You can do a lot of things with him, but I think he's going to play a big role immediately for this team, and it gives us, Kevin Stefanski likes to obviously be in 12 personnel. So it gives us the ability to be in 12 personnel, but run a lot of your 11 personnel plays. And so what does that do? That forces the defense to put its third linebacker on the field. Or if they stay in the nickel, it gives you a big advantage in the run game. So if they put that third linebacker on the field, we all know your Sam linebacker typically is not as good in coverage as your nickel corner. I think that goes without saying. And I think if you look at the money that is spent around the league on third linebackers versus third corners, there's a huge discrepancy. So it allows for Kevin Stefanski to try to dictate the defensive personnel and then still run your 11 personnel plays out of 12 personnel because of the versatility with Fannon. So I think it gives the Browns a nice advantage. As I said, a nice chess piece. I think you'll see him lined up all over the formation, out wide, in the slot, on the wing, in line, in the backfield. I think Harold Fannon's going to be everywhere, and I think the Browns are very excited about what he brings to this offense.
Yeah, I know there were some draft gurus that were nervous about like his gait and his speed, but yet I pull up the tape and I watch him running away from Penn State defenders and the Texas A&M defenders, and I'm like, what's the issue here? I know some guys don't necessarily test all that fast, and then on the field in uniform, in pads, it's a different story.
Yeah, and we've seen that even in camp and some of the live periods where he's tough to get down. He's very good after the catch. He was one of the yak leaders in college football at the tight end position, much like David Njoku was coming out of Miami. So I like Harold Fannon a lot. I know the Browns like Harold Fannon a lot, and I'm excited to kind of see how they decide to employ him once we get to the regular season. I think the way that if you were at the Philly joint practices, he was all over everything with the first team, everything. And I think that the Browns are counting on him to have a very big role. You're going to get significant contributions from this rookie class, and I think Harold Fannon's going to be a big part of that.
Nathan Zegura joining us here on the show. Coaches have raved about him. What's going to make Carson Schlesinger possibly a special linebacker for this football team?
Well, I think it's at his size, his ability to move. He's got great hips, the ability to change direction, and he's very smart. Jason Tarver loves working with him and said, one of the things is, I don't care if guys make mistakes. I don't want them to make the same mistake twice. And so far, that's what Carson Schlesinger has done. He plays fast, but he doesn't make the same mistakes twice. He learns from them. And so he's going to have to come in and be the Mike linebacker, and be the green dot and play 1,000 snaps this season, because look at what that linebacker room was a year ago. You had J.O.K. He is out for the year. Jordan Hicks has retired. Mahmoud Diabate has been banged up kind of all of this preseason. You talk Winston Reed, who they like, is banged up now. Buki Watson now on IR. It's a completely different room. You've just got really Devin Bush, and right now Devin Bush and you is the only guy standing from last year. You bring in Carson Schlesinger and Jerome Baker, and those are kind of your three guys right now. So a lot is going to be counted upon on him, but it's his ability to play the run, to blitz the quarterback. We saw that in Philly, and I think we're going to see more of that as we get into this season, because he's an adept blitzer, and then he's good in coverage. So when you're a 3-down linebacker and you're smart and you learn from your mistakes quickly, you have a chance to be special. And Carson Schlesinger certainly is a tackling machine. We saw that 13 snaps, 6 tackles, 4 solo in his only preseason action thus far.
Micah Parsons' agent telling Jerry Jones to stick it. Thoughts?
It's a negotiating tactic, I would say. But I think that, what we've seen around this league is that this isn't the NBA. The players do not have the leverage that I think they believe that they have or think that they should have relative to the players in the NBA. And Micah Parsons is either going to play, get a new deal from Jerry Jones, which I think is probably the likely outcome. I think we all remember there was a big standoff with Dak Prescott last year, and he got signed literally, was it the morning of the season opener here or the night before?
Night before.
The night before we played. So I'm not worried, but I think a lot of these things are often much ado about nothing, and it's posturing over, a few $100,000 or $1 million, which is nothing to sneeze at. But as somebody who just watched some of that America's Game documentary, which I think is incredible television, just riveting and really perfectly done through 3 episodes. Jerry Jones, when he bought the Cowboys, they couldn't agree on the final 300,000. They decided they'd flip a coin. He came out on the wrong side of that, but so maybe that's what they'll do. Maybe I'll sit down with Mike and say, let's flip a coin, and here we go.
Hey, real quick, but I have to ask, Anthony Richardson, is he a product of the circumstance in Indianapolis, or is he just not that good?
I think it's very difficult when the most mundane throws are not accurate. When the layups aren't layups, it's hard. Can he make some of the greatest throws you've seen? Yeah, go back to week 1, 70 yards flat-footed, dropped it in a bucket against the Texans, but then in that same game he'll miss on 5-yard throws guys that are wide open. So I just think it's so hard. But he hasn't played a lot of football. I mean, I definitely think he's somebody that if you can get into the hands of a patient team that's got a good quarterback guru, that there's still a lot there. He's younger than a lot of the guys in this draft class. So I still think there's a lot of talent there, but until he's able to have the layups be layups from an accuracy standpoint, it's just going to be so hard to count on him week in and week out.
Nathan, thank you for the time. We'll be listening to you tomorrow on your flagship home for Cleveland Browns football, 92.3 The Fan, all across the UH Hospitals Cleveland Browns radio network.
Thank you guys very much. And I got to say, that was a very different interview than I thought it was going to be based on what I heard while I was waiting to come on the air. So that was a good time. Thank you.
Nathan, thank you very much for the time. The great Nathan Zegura. Again, him, Andrew Siciliano, Gerard Cherry on the sidelines, the University Hospital. I can't say it's redundant. Say UH Hospitals. The UH Cleveland Browns Radio Network, your flagship home for Cleveland Browns football, 92.3 The Fan, where you can hear it on the Odyssey app within 100 miles of downtown Cleveland. Tone.